I actually want to do this video before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth officially launches. Just to discuss something I've only really talked with my friend Jerry about. And when we last talked about it, I think it was during the WWE Royal Rumble when we last met up, and I actually discussed what I'm about to say in this video. Concerning my so-called theory predictions with what's going on with Sephiroth. Now, after playing Remake, and everyone, I reckon a lot of people, after officially playing Remake, I can see why a lot of fans probably are a bit iffy on the Final Fantasy VII franchise, because this game kind of fucks with you big time. Like, you actually have to sit down, and the first go around is kind of like, it fucks with you big time. Even the whole Sephiroth issue is like, how many Sephiroths are there? Is there just the future one and the one in now the past revisited? So you would think there's two, and then you sit down and you realize there's the kind of like the hallucination type one, the past revisited type one. By the time you actually sit down and analyze everything that's going on, and you realize there's something like 7 or 8 Sephiroths in Remake, you have a fucking headache. And then you gotta actually time which ones are gonna actually show up again in Rebirth, which ones are actually there. Like Final Battle Sephiroth, is he the current timeline Sephiroth? Is he the no, he's the future Sephiroth. So future Sephiroth is the one keeping Cloud alive. Why is he keeping Cloud alive? What is his intentions? The current timeline Sephiroth, where the fuck is he? What is he doing? What's his intentions? Well, his is tied to the normal story. He's going along with what his plans currently are. So, current timeline Sephiroth and future timeline Sephiroth have their own separate plans, and all the flashback and bullshit versions of Sephiroth are their own separate things, and this is where the game becomes fucking annoying, especially if Sephiroth is your fucking favorite character. And this all, of course, times into one massive event that's coming up in Rebirth. One event that, if you have played Final Fantasy VII OG, you know is a pivotal part of the entire goddamn story, because if it doesn't play out as it does, well, the entire story doesn't make fucking sense. And that is Aerith's fucking death. Unless she dies, and unless she dies in a specific way, then the entire story doesn't play out as it should, and humanity gets wiped off the friggin' face of the planet. This is the exact conversation I had with my friend, because I started coming up with specific theories surrounding her death and how it should happen. I came up with the idea specifically considering that Sephiroth loses in the OG, specifically because he did kill her. He didn't know it at the time. He sees Aerith praying, but by then Aerith had what we didn't know is she intended to die. We see her and we consider her getting murdered, and we're like, oh, poor Aerith. But what we find out later is, by the time Meteor was being cast, is that she always intended to die, and that the protective spell from her sacrifice is what actually stops Meteor, so she had to die. that is, the big spoiler. And now that we're going around a second time with Remake and Rebirth, is that we're going into Rebirth and we're like, Aerith has to die. That's not a big thing for us going around this time. But the big thing is we got a Sephiroth who's living this timeline for the first time, and we got a Sephiroth who's come back from the future and knows that he loses if he stabs Aerith. He knows that if his first timeline self stabs her, he can't cast Meteor. So he's thinking, this is where my prediction comes into play. What if he stops his past self from stabbing Aerith? And this is where our discussion started to take off, is if he stops his previous self from doing it, if Aerith's praying, is her sacrifice needed in order to activate the spell? Can she kill herself to activate the spell? Or can she ask someone else to kill herself to activate the spell? Can she get Zack to kill her? Can she get Cloud? Is that what the spoilers have been... is that what the trailers are hinting at? Like, maybe Sephiroth's egging Cloud on to do it. Like, hey man, get angry, unleash all that rage, and then you'll end up getting pissed, and, maybe he stabs Aerith and ends up killing Aerith. Maybe it will activate, the spell to protect from Meteor, but in the process, turn him into a vessel for Sephiroth. Maybe Cloud becomes the vessel for Sephiroth, hinting at this hollow heart bullshit. Like in Advent Children, where the people develop the geostigma bullshit. I don't know. That's a far-fetched thing, but they did say that they want to tie up this storyline to the Advent Children's storyline. Like, we're going to see, like, little nitpicks and shit. I would like it if they actually got in deep with that type of shit. Like, they actually went, like, a bit dark. Because one of the biggest problems, I think, with Final Fantasy VII as a story, of course, is the ending of Final Fantasy VII. It's perhaps... like, Final Fantasy's got, like, one of the, like, weakest fucking endings to a story. I like the dark ending. Humans are fucked in general, and it just ends with the Red and his pups just running across empty plains. I think that's the most justified ending to Final Fantasy VII, is that humans are just pieces of shit and end up fucked, and it just goes back to nature, because... really, when they shut down the reactors, no one ever thought, hey, what's a convenient option to back up? There is no option on this planet of Final Fantasy VII. Like, what's a backup option of energy source? There is none, besides the Mako reactors in Final Fantasy VII lore. They never thought up of another energy option. And... even in Remake and Rebirth, there is not another option. I think the story might go a bit whack there. I don't want them to suddenly go, oh, we invented nuclear reactors out of fucking nowhere. I don't know. I don't want them to get, like, a happily ever after pulled out of their ass, and yet the whole time you're like, well, why didn't you think of that energy source during the story? Like, that? It's like, the whole time you were relying on Mako energy reactors, how come you never considered this alternative source? And yet, after they, defeat Shenra, they magically sprout a different energy source, and that, you know how stories are a bit over Deus Ex Machina bullshit. That's the problem, I think, with like rewriting your series and like trying to fix it. It seems like Final Fantasy VII is trying to fix it while not being that smart. But yeah. Besides the Sephiroth problem and the Aerith thing, just a theory with that, how are they gonna go about Aerith's death, I think, is the biggest thing that, and how Sephiroth approaches it. That's the biggest thing I'm curious in Rebirth, is how Sephiroth approaches Aerith's death. Because honestly, if he just goes about it the same way, I will give this game 0 out of 10 straight off the bat. If I literally pour money into this fucking game and future Sephiroth is fucking dumb enough to just let this bitch get stabbed again, Square Enix can burn in hell. And their whole writing community can burn in fucking hell. Do you know how fucking stupid it is to wait all these years and then you go about a time travel story to have one of your most favorite fucking villains repeat the same goddamn mistake? How dumb that is gonna be. And besides that, I think the only other character, and I'm not. People would think I'm looking forward to Vincent. I'm not. If they want to do something fun with Vincent, honestly, make a Dirge of Cerberus game or some shit. Reboot that fucking franchise. His story is as cringe and emo as it is in that fucking game, is fucking fun. Because you wouldn't be sitting here going, is he fucking Sephiroth's father? Which he's not. But you wouldn't be sitting here coming up with all these memes and bullshit crap unless you've played that fucking game in its most crazy fucking rendition. That game is fun as shit. The character I am honestly looking forward to, second to Sephiroth, is bloody President Shinra himself. He's got the drip, he's got the guns, and he has the dogs. And now he has his big army. Let us do so. I want a level. I just want a level where instead of playing as fucking Tifa or Aerith or fucking Cloud and Zack, let us have a level where we can just play as the fucking Turks and President Shinra doing some whacked-ass corporate shit. That's what I want in Final Fantasy. I want to do some evil fucking shit with the president. I want to legit walk out, look over the desk, see the whole friggin' military there, command them to do shit. Oh look, there's the Marco cannon. Yeah, fire that goddamn bitch, blow that crap up. I'm having a good day. I want Eggs Benedict for breakfast. I want to be able to do that shit in Final Fantasy Rebirth. Just for a level, a day in the life of President Shinra. I know that sounds friggin' retarded, but it's like, you want a world built worth living in. And that sounds fun as shit. I'm like, I wonder if anyone at Square Enix actually storyboarded that. It's like, hey, you know what? You got the level where we're at the dance club and we're dancing around and we're having fun. We got the level where we're riding on the dolphins. We got the level where we're playing a card game. Why don't you have a level where you're a dictator? I mean, how different is that from some of the corporate shit that happens in Japan itself? But that's my thought process going into because Final Fantasy Rebirth is practically around the corner, and I thought I'd actually get it out going into it, because that is my big worry with Sephiroth and Aerith going into it. I mean, I do have. Obviously, I got positives, but as much as I'm optimistic about it, obviously I'm scared they're gonna fuck it up as well. And this character, Sephiroth means the world to me, and Aerith does not. I literally hate the bitch. I do. Flower Girl can burn in hell with her entire garden of bullshittery.